And now we get to one of the weirdest episodes in art history, the Dada movement. I'm going to introduce it with the first few minutes of a video that captures some of Dada's frenetic and playful spirit and its anti-establishment in-your-face attitude. The entire video, the ABCs of Dada, presented appropriately starting with Z for Zurich, that's where the movement was founded, is up on Moodle in 3 parts. You may not have caught his name, but on the video you just heard from Hans Arp. In the Dada spirit, he believed that chance should determine his compositions. So he cut up pieces of paper, dropped them onto another sheet of paper on the floor, and glued the art that resulted. Dada artists also adapted the collage method to make political statements with photos. Hana Hawk has included images of her political heroes, Marx and Lenin, as well as a map showing where women can vote. She also stuck the heads of German military leaders on exotic dancers' bodies. So here are my snipped and blown up clips of these images. This work no longer appears on the list, but remember that Stepanova's constructivist photomontage does. So, what similarities and differences do you observe? Basically, the Dada version is sharp, biting, satirical, and irreverent. The Soviet version is much more serious. Artists who tried for satire or irreverence toward the Soviet regime tended to end up in Siberia, if not on the wrong side of a firing squad. I'm guessing, too, that the Dada artists would have found these worshipful red electrical wires over the top. And speaking of over the top, by far the most famous Dada artist was Marcel Duchamp. Believe it or not, the fountain, and yes, it is just a urinal, competes with Demoiselle d'Avignon for the title of most influential artwork of the 20th century. This urinal was one of a group of sculptures that Duchamp gave the name Ready Made. You must know the story of the fountain, so over to our next presenter. The fountain and other ready-mades appear on the AP exam all the time. Here's a 2011 example. Let's hear how Marcel Duchamp sort of answered that question in a 1965 interview with an art museum curator. So here are a few more ready-mades from the same era as the fountain. Actually, these are later reconstructions since the originals disappeared. The snow shovel on the left is a fan favorite. It even showed up on one of the one year's AP Art History t-shirt. According to the Museum of Modern Art website, Duchamp purchased the first version of this work in a hardware store in 1915, signed and dated the shovel, and hung it on display from his studio ceiling. This picture of movement shows a kinship with Cubism, Futurism, and also with Muybridge's motion photography. In fact, it may have been based on another Muybridge study, this time an early movie. If you Google the name of this painting and then go to the Wikipedia site, you can see the actual film footage of a nude woman descending a staircase. The Salone des Indépendants, where many of the artists who've been studying in this unit introduced their work, rejected this painting when it was submitted to their exhibition of Cubist art. The jury thought the title was too literary, and probably more significantly, they found the painting too close to Futurism. And there may have been political undertones to this decision. The Futurists were seen as right-wing, and indeed many had become fascists. Would become fascist. The Parisian art scene was, for the most part, committed to socialism or even communism. This painting generated a firestorm of criticism when it appeared at the famous 1913 Armory Show in New York City. This was one of the most important exhibitions in art history. The show introduced American audiences to European modernist artists such as Picasso, Matisse, Braque, Kirchner, Kandinsky, and, of course, Duchamp. It also featured some notable American artists, but they got a lot less attention than the Europeans. That's going to change soon. Here's a photo of the show being set up at the Armory of the New York National Guard's 69th Regiment. And here's a fun anecdote about this show and the Duchamp painting you just saw. After attending the Armory Show and seeing Marcel Duchamp's nude descending a staircase, President Theodore Roosevelt wrote, and this is an exact quote, Take the picture for which, for some reason, is called a naked man going downstairs. There isn't in my bathroom a really good Navajo rug, which, on any proper interpretation of the Cubist theory, is a far more satisfactory and decorative piece. Now, if for some inscrutable reason it suited somebody to call this rug a picture of a well-dressed man going up a ladder, the name would fit the facts just about as well. When the Armory exhibition closed in Chicago, students at the School of the Art Institute celebrated the exhibition's close by staging a mock trial of Henri Matisse, whom they named Henri Hair Mattress. They convicted him of artistic crimes and burned 4 of his paintings in effigy. And on that note, I'll leave Dada and move on to another celebration of inner weirdness, the Surrealists.